This program is a Creative Magic Network and Maura Sweeney collaboration.
Welcome to Maura for You. Maura Sweeney is an author, blogger, and public speaker who always has an eye out for you and your personal happiness. Conventional and offbeat, vintage and modern, Maura weaves clever anecdotes, insightful questions, and personal stories that challenge your mindsets and enable you to live happier from the inside out. Here's Maura with today's thoughts for you.
What are you teaching? If you're on a path to living happy from the inside out, you will want to ask yourself this question, even if you're not an official school teacher. What are you teaching? Do you know oftentimes we think we teach people with our words. What we don't realize is that we teach far more with our deeds and with the very elements and the very feelings that we convey to others. I want to go back in time to when I was a little girl during the 60s growing up. And during that era, we suddenly learned that cigarette smoking was not a good thing. Up until that time, most adults were smokers. But when they learned that smoking was no longer considered healthy and that it was actually hazardous to the health, a move was brought on to have the adults stop smoking, and obviously the adults who had been smoking wanted to make sure that their own children didn't smoke. Well, one of the most popular responses I remember kids hearing at home were parents telling their children not to smoke. And the kids would say, well, you smoke, so what's wrong with it? Well, the parents, being the so-called authorities, would always say, don't do what I do. You do what I say. Or do what I say, not as I do. I'm sure some of you listening today will have heard that. In many cases, if you look around society, you'll find that there are many things we are taught verbally as being correct. And yet, the very people who are looking to teach us by their words or by their position, often behind closed doors, and sometimes not even behind closed doors, are engaging in behavior patterns, activities, and even motivations that run contrary to the words they claim to teach or espouse. So let's get back to you. What are you teaching? Whether or not you realize it, you are teaching those around you something every single day. You may be saying one thing and doing something completely different. You may be giving someone good advice and yet not taking that same advice yourself. Believe it or not, people are astute enough to know that you are believing what it is that you are doing rather than what it is you are merely speaking with your mouth. So in essence, what you can say is that your behaviors and your intents speak louder than words and end up teaching those around you. Well, what exactly does this mean for you? And if you haven't been teaching people the right things, where do you go with this very issue? Well, just a few weeks ago, I released an e-course, and I call it Foundations of Happiness, but the secondary title is A Course in Emotional Intelligence. And here's what I meant by that very term. The foundational chapter in that e-course deals with how we see ourselves in the cosmos. And I distilled it down to two things. We can either see ourselves as a victim in a very hostile world where we always feel like we're at the mercy of things beyond our control and more especially dangers on every side. And when we carry that kind of a victim-minded mentality, our very behaviors and emotions will emanate out of our mindset. But there is a second mindset that we can carry, and I refer to it as a beneficiary's mindset. Now, if you know the word beneficiary, the root of it is bene. Bene meaning good. You can actually be of a completely different persuasion in life. You can, at the very core of your being, rather than see yourself as a victim in a crazy cosmos where everything can come against you at any moment and knock you down or harm you, you can have a completely different view of being a beneficiary in a world whose backdrop is goodness. And goodness for all, on every side, in every outcome. And when you see the world through the eyes or through the mindset of a beneficiary, what do you suppose you teach others? You teach them that there is no danger. You teach them that you can operate out of love rather than fear, out of abundance rather than scarcity, and out of positive expectation for good outcomes rather than fearful behaviors because you're expecting the worst. When you're by yourself today, when you're on your own, give some thought to what your mindset is regarding yourself and the backdrop of your world. You will notice that you either see yourself as the victim or as a beneficiary. And if you choose to see yourself as a beneficiary, chances are very likely that everything you are teaching to those around you will be that very same message. If you want to not only be happy from within and be happy in your own life, you will also know that you want to have a beneficiary's mindset. But another benefit to that is that once you adopt that kind of a mindset and that form of a belief system in your life, you will be adding and contributing that very meaningful life lesson that other people will perceive without even a word being spoken, that they too also are beneficiaries living in a good cosmos. So that's been my thought for today, that you begin teaching people what is good because you too believe in the goodness of yourself and the goodness of the world that is the backdrop behind this world. Well, that's been my thought for today. But before we go, let's tune in and listen to someone else share with us what makes them happy from the inside out too. This has been Maura with More For You.
Hi, my name is Leanne Penna. I grew up in Massachusetts in the United States, but I'm currently living in Thessaloniki, Greece. I've been here for 6 years as an American expat, and I'm currently working at the American Farm School as the Director of Student Life. I have about 300 students, both high school and college students, that I supervise in the boarding department and all the clubs and activities on campus. What makes me happy is seeing those aha moments from the students when they finally get a concept that I'm talking to them about in our service learning class that we offer at Parotis College. When they make those little connections and decide that they really understand the world in a different place. And that's what makes me happy.
For more about Maura, visit her at mauraforyou.com, where you can find videos, blogs, and her book series, The Art of Happiness. Visit mauraforyou.com, where Maura is always for you.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. How did you like it? How did you like it? I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody out there. If you have a passion, something that fuels your curiosity, well, on top of getting fascinating interviews straight to your inbox, when you subscribe to our FREE free Creative Magic community, you will get super cool exclusive gifts in return, such as the ebook Happiness Quotes by the Ambassador of Happiness herself, Maura Sweeney, one of our hosts. And also, this small book is an anthology of 25 inspirational quotes about living a happy life from the inside out. It is cataloged by Maura Sweeney herself and further enhanced by her reflections. She offers information, anecdotal stories, and more to help underscore each contributor's growth. And she also provides suggestions to help you incorporate these maxims into part of your mental landscape. So you can subscribe for free FREE at frederickbye.com. That's Frederick with a C, bye like bye-bye.com.